Welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. When you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with chronic disease? We all do. It's been programmed right into us. But what if we flip that whole idea on its head? Let's discover how we can create chronic health in our bodies, our minds, our finances, our relationships, and of course, in our lives. Let's jump right on in. I'm Andy. Joining me and everything is my wife Minna.
You got your own name wrong. So we've been ever since COVID, right? Things has changed a lot, and I'm working at home. You working at home.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of affects the relationship a little bit, but that's a different topic. But we run our own businesses at home, and there's a lot of other people that actually do run businesses at home right now. There's a lot of different ones.
Yes.
We're talking about building a new home by the beach, and now that the builders, even though you think the builders has to be on site, there is a new type that is basically a prefabrication home. So they build everything offsite and then they ship it to you, kind of like Amazon.
Right.
Right. So reimagining how businesses run is actually very exciting. But there are some things you just can't do it online, right? I mean, most of the things you can do retail, you can ship it online, and that's fine. But there's some things just doesn't make sense online.
Exactly. I think like Minna says, in the last 4 years, with everything that's gone on, people being stuck at home, people figured out how to start their own businesses. So there's a major explosion in solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and stuff like that, or maybe even like a lot of people selling their practices and going online and transferring over online practice. Like you said, I used to be in person for all my training services when I was in California, but when I came to Texas, I kept everyone online. So there are certain things that I think are great, and we're going to have a physiotherapist that's going to talk a little bit about that later today on what he's doing. But there are certain things or businesses that I think should not be done online.
Yeah, certain things are a little difficult, right? You as a nutrition and a trainer, you rely on certain tools like the Apple Watch to track your heart rate and things like that. But if you, let's say like blood pressure or something, if you don't have the things at home, how would a remote doctor know what blood pressure you have?
Exactly. So where Minna is saying is exactly it. It's like we see all these commercials for all these medication, and we got an online doctor that's going to write your prescription, and it's like, well, from the last time I checked, when I go to a doctor, they check my blood pressure, they check my heart rate, they go and then they're looking down your throat, they're looking at your ears, right, they're listening to your lungs. None of that is done online, right? And then you need this medication, right? So when it comes down to that, I think things in that aspect is getting a little crazy, and without getting the right information, there's more and more things that they're just spitting back from stuff that maybe they learned 20, 30, 40 years ago, which is proven not to be true anymore, right?
Yeah, well, one is that they're spitting things out that were only like true back in the 1980s.
Mhm.
You know, this is not current anymore. Two is that they're actually giving you the same information that ChatGPT is giving you. So
Yes.
just ask Chat what's wrong with you.
Exactly. That's so true, right? You know, they're basically that web doctor is basically pulling everything right off of Chat GPT at this point, which is sort of scary. Like some of it is pretty good, but you know, others, you know, like you know, we always tell people your bio individuals, what works for one person may not work for another, and just because you have a similar symptom may not necessarily mean you have that, right?
Yeah, talking about health, heart health is probably one of those things that is most scary to most people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
My dad had I think he said he had a heart attack.
Mhm.
We can't be sure for sure, and he was in the early 50s,
Correct.
and that's why he actually left Hong Kong and moved to Vancouver. He just decided just the hell with it. He's going to retire. Can't handle the stress anymore, right? But that's because of a heart health problem, heart issues,
Correct.
right?
And you know, and that's the thing, like what Minna says, heart health, like every other condition, like even with cancer, there's usually symptoms and there's usually a time frame where it gets worse. Well, with heart health, if you have a heart attack, most of the time that's it, right? No, seriously, right? It depends on if someone is there when it happens, how fast they catch it, and how fast they resuscitate you. Wait too long, you know, you come back, but you're brain dead, right? So, you know, one of the things that, you know, I want to dive into a little bit is breaking some heart health myths that, like I said, doctors, dietitians, and mainstream media is still spreading to be true. You want to start kick it off?
I want to start with eggs.
Okay.
Because we've been eating a lot of eggs and we're still kicking around. Like a lot.
Yeah. Right. And it's funny what Minna says about eggs. You know, I was just talking to one of my clients the other day, and you know, he's a little bit older, he wants to build muscle. And I was like, yeah, you know, eggs is a great protein source. You know, you eat eggs, complete protein, you get all the protein, right? You know, and then he says, but Andy, my dietitian says I cannot eat more than 2 eggs a week, and I can't eat the yolks. I just looked at him like this, and I said, you need to fire your dietitian. Seriously, that is literally what I said. I said, your dietitian's off her rocker, right? It's like 2 eggs a week, and you can't eat the yolk. And you know, it's crazy because all the nutrients is in the yolk, right? You know, you got choline that's going to boost your brain. Like I said, it's a complete protein. It's building your muscle, and you know, it even have lutein. You know, lutein is really good for your eyes, right? So you know, it's like, and like Minna says, he said 2 eggs a week. We eat maybe 2 to 6 eggs a day. Yeah. And
we go through a dozen a day.
You know, we're still kicking around. We just did our blood labs. Our blood labs are amazing. You know, my muscle content, I'm stronger than for most people on my age. So yeah, I call BS on that one.
So there's another thing that we talk about. Doctors used to say don't eat fats, right?
Yes.
Right, and they don't actually specify what type of fats. Mm-hmm. But you know, my dad is Malaysian. He grew up in Malaysia. Of course, they love coconuts and coconut milk, right? And coconut oil. And you know, if you cut that out, there's no taste in Malaysian food.
Oh, for sure. Coconut is just a staple in the Asian diets, right?
Right, and it's actually really good for you.
Exactly. And you know, they're saying, you know, it's because of the saturated fats, right? And saturated fats are actually good for you, right? You know, it's insane, you know, but they say saturated fats is clogging the arteries. We're going to tell you what really clog arteries, and it's not saturated fats. But like Minna says, like coconut oil, it's great for cooking, you know, unless you don't like coconut taste, right? You know, I have clients that don't like coconut taste, in which case you can't use that. But one of the things that we learned a few years ago is coconut has MCT, right, Minna?
Medium chain triglycerides.
Yes.
Which we put into our coffee.
Exactly.
Right. So we start eating fat early in the morning. We also do fractionated coconut oil for rinsing our teeth.
Mm-hmm. For oil pulling. Yep.
Yeah. So we don't actually drink that, but we actually use that a lot. So there's a lot of coconut in our lives.
Exactly. And, you know, for the MCT, you know, there are studies showing it can repair brain fog and early signs of dementia. So here, once again, getting coconut oil as much into your diet can help you be smarter and sharper, right? So, that's so important. And fat actually makes you skinny. Now get some of that,
Well, look at the French, right? Because they eat a lot of
butter. Yeah.
and
Next favorite food.
butter is great. It tastes great, and we use that in our coffee too as ghee, and we put a lot of stuff in our coffee.
And a lot of people, they're not getting vitamin K, A, D, E, the fat soluble vitamins. And guess what? That's in butter, right? And butter is great for cooking for higher heat also. And of course, we make ghee with that too. And like you said, and straight in a coffee. Why don't we talk a little bit about our coffee?
Well, so our coffee has MCT. It has mushroom powder. It has some other stuff in it, but it also has ghee in it. So
Yes.
and whole fat milk.
Exactly. So all the things they say is going to clog your arteries and give you a heart attack. Well, all our blood markers are showing it's just amazing. And with coffee, a lot of times there's all these things about coffee stressing your heart and making you edgy. Well, studies show coffee boosts brain power.
So once again, we're not doctors, so we can hear it as you hear it. We're not responsible for what you do. But what do you think is a good recommendation for heart health?
When it comes down to heart health, the thing that most doctors will tell you is once you have heart damage, that's it. It's not like your liver where it repairs itself. And there's some studies showing that maybe it repairs 1% a year. Other studies show maybe all your heart cells get replaced every 45 years. So I guess they're not really lying when they say that your heart doesn't repair itself, right? But one of the things that we have found that's been amazing, and there's clinical studies, once again, we're not doctors, these are clinical studies. One of the ways that you can boost heart health is to stimulate stem cells, like for faster cellular repair. And one of the products we found is right here, if you can see it, right, this little magical patch here. It's a LifeWave X39 patch. And what it does is it stimulates stem cells for faster cellular repair. And without getting in trouble with compliance, using this patch for 6 months have reversed heart age by X years. You remember what I said? X years, right? Not X days, it's X years. And, I don't want to say what day, how many years, and so I get in trouble. But, the main thing is like this X39, it lowers inflammation 30% as soon as you put it on. And like I said, in 6 months, it's reversing your heart age, it's repairing heart damage with the stem cells, right? So for all the people out there that when they, you suspect you have heart condition, heart damage, and with the last 3-4 years, a lot of people have long COVID, catching COVID, and then there's now studies showing all the people that got, the vac shot, right? The mRNA shots for COVID is showing that, a side effect is myocarditis. I have to pronounce this right. Christy's always getting on me. Myocarditis and pericarditis. And these are heart conditions. And the funny thing is here, on one side, they say, oh, you can't repair the heart. But they said, oh, if you get these side effects, it's okay. And 20 and 30-year-olds are getting this, right? So if you're not getting this patch, you are having heart damage in your early 20s or 30s, which may not repair for another 45 years. So literally, you're crippling yourself in your 20s and 30s.
Yeah, so bottom line is you need to take care of yourself if no one else is going to.
Exactly. So take that first step. Once again, we're not doctors. These are all from clinical studies and our opinion. But as longevity coaches, we are always striving on the latest technology to help you become the healthiest you are.
Awesome. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll have Christy and our special guest.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science, at longevity, at exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take control of your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
This Mother's Day, celebrate the woman who gave you everything by giving her the glow she deserves. Our Coolness Face Cream and Eye Serum Duo is the perfect self-care treat. And right now, you'll get 15% off with code MDAY15. Plus, while supplies last, we're gifting you a bonus eye cream applicator because mom deserves luxury. But don't wait. This special offer ends on Mother's Day. Shop now at coolness.com and help her feel her beauty.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. I would like to introduce you to our wonderful guest today, Dr. Paul Sylvester. He is a dedicated virtual physical therapist and health and wellness coach, committed to helping individuals improve their pain levels, mobility, strength, and overall well-being from anywhere and virtually at any time. With a personalized and holistic approach, he designs tailored rehabilitation and wellness programs to support recovery, prevent injuries, and enhance daily function. Passionate about empowering clients, he provides expert guidance to help them move better, feel stronger, and achieve their health goals. Welcome, Paul. How are you today?
Hi, Christy. I'm doing well, and you? Thanks for having me on today.
Oh, well, we're just delighted to have you. This is a fascinating topic that we're going to get into today.
Yes.
So how did you come up with becoming a virtual rehab therapist?
Oh, that's a great question. It's kind of a long story, but I'll try to sum it up efficiently for you. So prior, I was a travel physical therapist. And for those that may not be aware, travel physical therapists, we're contracted to work temporarily in a location that needs help with staffing because they're not able to meet the demands in the area. For the demands and so there will be like troubles with access to care usually if there's not enough therapists, of course, enough clinicians. And so we're contracted usually for about a 8 to 13 week time period in a place. And then we have the option sometimes to stay on for longer, or we go to a new state, a new city, and we work there and do the same thing. And we continue going to different places, traveling to help out different clinics. And so as I did this throughout the country, I noticed a theme of people having trouble getting access to clinics, or people not being able to drive to the clinic, people having trouble with the hours of clinic availability or slot availability in the clinic. People just not having access to, like I mentioned, transportation, or having someone to be able to drive them, for example, or just the fact that it's far away can also be a challenge, or if it snowed, just things like that. And so I realized that these were all kind of common barriers to access. And so I thought there should be a way that I can help with this, right? Help with this and get more people healthier, even from the comfort of their home. And so I came up with my company, Rehab to Go, in order to give people access to care from the comfort of their home.
You know, you struck a chord with me because years ago, my mom took a bad fall and she completely shattered her shoulder and broke her arm and ended up having emergency shoulder replacement and blah, blah, blah. But through the rehab, if she hadn't had me with her, she wouldn't have been able to drive herself because she didn't have the use of her right arm at all. So,
right.
And so that, that strikes a chord with me. I wonder how many people are in a position like that where they just can't get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a sad reality, but it is a reality that a lot of people would need to get some care, but can't because they're not in a fortunate position to have someone that's with them in order to get them to the clinic. Someone that just twisted their ankle or just twisted their knee there's no way they're going to get in the car and be able to drive safely, at least.
Oh, that's right.
So, mhm,
Oh, I, ugh.
yeah.
uh, so, so what about special equipment? Because like when I took her to rehab, they had, all the equipment there, of course. And then there were certain
Mhm,
things they had me buy that she could use at home. How do you handle
mhm.
things like that?
Right. So I found that well, it all depends, right? And so there are some patients that have access to a lot of equipment, or they have the ability to go out and acquire that equipment. However, there's also ways in order that I can develop programs where they're able to do their treatment without equipment.
Oh,
And so that's
yeah.
also a possibility, tailoring based on what they have access to.
Oh, that's great. Because that
Right.
I could see that being a huge concern. Like, I can't afford to go buy thousands of dollars worth of equipment, and
Mhm.
yeah. And where do you put it if
Right.
you live in a small space?
Exactly. Uh-huh. So not everyone needs a full-blown gym in their house, right? And
Right.
that's not really needed in a lot of cases. And you can work with what you have, and it just requires sometimes just a little bit of creativity, but that's what I'm here for.
I love that. I love that. So do you draw off? Well, obviously you've been trained and you've done extensive work in this field, but do you draw off those experiences to tailor the, I don't know what to call it, the plan
The plan.
the plan for the client?
Do I draw off of like my experience like in the past as I was traveling and as I was working in clinic? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. A big reason I'm able to do what I do now is from my experience working in clinic, because as ironic as that sounds, because as I worked more and I learned more, one of the things I realized is that there are a lot of ways to get people a lot better without needing hands-on work. If you give people the right tools, the right education, if you guide them the right way, and if they do the right exercises, they'll get the same or better results without needing me to put my hands on them. And so this is something that I was seeing in clinic for a long time, um, that without me having to put my hands on patients, they were able to get a lot better with the
Mhm.
right guidance and the right frequency of exercise and the right dosage of these exercises and the right home plan.
That makes sense, because a passive exercise where you're doing this, say, that isn't the same as if they're using their own muscles to lift, right? That would
Right.
be a significant difference.
It'll be a
Just,
big difference.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it'd be like,
But-
you go, you put your kids on a soccer team and then you sit them at the side and this coach runs around doing all the work.
Hey.
The kids aren't going to learn anything or get any better.
Exactly, yeah. And there are some cases where probably someone's like at the start of their rehab journey, and it would be nice if they had like a little bit of physical assistance, right? But there's ways you could teach someone how to physically mobilize themselves too, right? So
Right.
not in every case they necessarily would need hands-on necessarily. They can still, in a way, come almost like semi-independently or such kind of doing an active assisted kind of stretch instead of just like a passive, like you mentioned. And that's just like you said, so much better.
Oh, yeah. Well, so
Yeah.
now in a case where a person might need help, physical help at first, because they haven't maybe they can't, say, I don't know, stand up out of a chair because they injured, I don't know, I got to make something, injured a hip or something, and they can't stand up without help. But the goal would be to get them to where they can stand up by themselves. So would you work with like someone like me, like if I were helping my mom and you were working with my mom to help me? So I do it right and I don't like mess it up.
Absolutely. So that's a big part of it too, as well, right? Is working with let's say your mom in this hypothetical situation,
Mm,
working with your mom, and then also giving you the tools so that when you're with your mom and someone else isn't around to help, you know how to also help your mom get out of the chair.
mm,
So giving you that education so you can work with your mom as well and be able to help. And then that would, of course, that would help with the rehab program, because then if you were there along with us, right, you can help and give that hands-on guidance or that extra little boost, the extra spot, right, in those beginning phases.
right.
Mhm.
Well, you know, I love this idea. I love this idea because for this specific thing, for rehab, this physical rehab kind of thing, this could work. You could be anywhere in the world and help anybody anywhere.
Mhm.
Um,
The big limitation is just what is the internet quality like, and if we have a screen, right?
yeah.
Right.
What about like if somebody has a question, like I'm doing what you said and then I forget something and I need to, do you like have some kind of built-in, like I can text you a question or email you or something like
Mhm.
that?
So, yeah, absolutely. So there's two things with that. One of them that I do is I send an email documenting everything that I mentioned, right? So there's always a summary report or like a briefing, so that the clients know, have like a breakdown of what we talked about. So in case if it slips their mind, they can always take a look back and go, oh yeah, that's what he said.
Mhm.
And I also use an application where they would have access to their treatment exercises and motions. So they can always look at it and know what they should be doing on what day. And they can add in their comments and get them to me. And I do allow 24/7 text access to me as well. So even if the client doesn't have an appointment with me for a few days, they can always text me and I'll get right back to them within the same day.
So like if
Mhm.
something is either like too hard, you can help them tone it down to build so they can build up to that, or the flip side of it's too easy and it's not really benefiting them, you can help them bring it up to the next level, so that they're getting the maximum benefit.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
So if some things need to be progressed or regressed or tweaked in those ways, we always can.
yeah.
Exactly.
Uh, so is it technically like a terminal thing, like it's a 12-week plan or something along those lines, or is it individual?
So the way I operate is individual. So it's individual and it's based on how they're presenting. And so based on what they need, I think, and based on what I think that the recovery process is going to be, it could be for one person, it could be 8 weeks. For another person, it could be 12 weeks, or it can be 16 weeks, or it could just be 4. So it all kind of depends on that individual.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's
Right.
cool. I think it's a great idea that you had there, that, you know, so I'm getting that, you know, we don't have to be limited in pain if I'm thinking of housebound people or people, like you said, who don't have access to the transportation they need.
Right.
That could be life-changing for people.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
hmm and that's what I'm just hoping to be able to give to others so that they can live their best life.
Well, exercise and pain, that's those two things we need to move, right? To reduce pain.
hmm
That's a real thing.
Right, correct. That is very correct. Yes.
So even if it hurts at first.
Right. Sometimes it's not the most comfortable at first, but
Yeah.
right. And then our body starts to adapt, and that's where it reverses.
Oh, okay. On that note, we're going to take a little break. And when we come back, I think you have some practical things for us to try at home, right?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Wonderful. Stay tuned after this, you guys. We'll be right back.
Imagine a life where every day is fueled by energy, vitality, and purpose. Where age is just a number and your best years are always ahead. Hi, I'm Andy Nam, certified functional nutrition longevity coach, best-selling author, and international speaker. After reversing my own chronic health struggles, I'm now on a mission to help you live longer, stronger, and of course to look younger. I combine biohacking, cutting-edge nutrition, and stem cell technology to unlock your body's full potential. So no matter where your starting point is, I'm going to guide you toward a chronically healthy life. Ready to reverse aging and take control of your future? Connect with me today. Your journey to longevity starts here.
Ever feel like you're doing it all, but doing it alone? Running your business, supporting your family, trying to stay grounded while juggling everything. You're not the only one. You deserve a space where you can just exhale, a room where you don't have to prove anything, because everyone already gets it, where conversations go beyond small talk, where stories are shared, not judged, where new connections feel like old friends. This is that space. This is that room. This is that moment. Come refill your cup. Be seen. Be celebrated. Because when women come together, powerful things happen. Let's grow, rise, and lead together. Join us on May 17th, Women of the World Hawaii pop-up event in Honolulu. Hope to see you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. We are here with Dr. Paul Sylvester, a virtual physical therapist. Hi again, Paul.
Hi, Christy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You've inspired me in many ways already. But I have a question, which is not so much as like a recovering from an injury thing, but more of how we all, I think pretty much everybody works at a computer nowadays. And I know I'm guilty of getting deep into something and then realizing my legs are asleep, or I have trouble standing up because I've been too long at the computer, or my neck hurts or something like that. So I was hoping maybe you could give us some very practical tips on little things we can do to help ourselves to keep us from getting into that pain and
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a great question. So I think that a big one to kind of tackle on what you're talking about is taking a bit of a break, although that's a hard one to do, right? You get in the zone, and to take a break in the middle is a bit tough. However, what I would recommend, and what I recommend to a lot of my clients, is to set up timers. To set up timers throughout the day. So a timer of every 45 minutes. And I think that's relatively doable. I think that's realistic, right? So every 45 minutes, and the timer would go off, and that's just a gentle reminder just to stand up and stretch your arms out. And that little bit helps so much in terms of circulation and preventing poor posture.
Like this?
Exactly.
Just
something to break up that prolonged static positioning that you may be in from typing.
Yeah.
So I think that's one tip that I would recommend everyone to do. Another one is a really great stretch in order to open up your chest and its entire mid-back region, right? And so the way I like to do it is bringing the hands behind the head here, opening up the elbows, and then trying to arch and allowing the chest to raise up towards the ceiling.
Oh, that feels good.
Oh yeah, oh, you're doing it perfectly. I'll give you a side view. So if we're here, elbows out to the side, and if you have a backrest that goes to mid back or upper back, it's great because it gives a point to arch over.
Yeah.
And you anchor right over it and back.
That feels really good.
Awesome.
Yeah. I used to have the kind of chair that came up to here, and now I have the low kind like you have. Better for this.
It's better for that, exactly. So doing that 10 times twice a day, maybe at the start of your day and at the end of the day, will work wonders on keeping your posture nice and open, right? To try to prevent some of that forward flex posture that you may be in from a long time from working at the computer, from typing, writing. Yeah.
You know, working with kids, I have seen kids as, you know, in middle school, and they're always like this, and they're already hunched over like this, you know, because they're always on their phone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they end up having neck problems or neck pain, back pain at such a young age. I'm seeing that more and more often.
Do you ever work with kids to help them like offset some of that phone neck?
Right. So some of that text neck, absolutely. I work with kids as well on improving some of those symptoms that they get from from being on their phone all day. And
yeah.
Yep.
Is there anything for the neck that you could recommend because I find my neck gets stiff from looking at the computer and not really moving.
So something that I would recommend is something called the chin tuck. Yeah. It looks like you're actually doing it already. It looks like
Oh, really?
So there's two different parts to this motion, right? And the goal here, we got some balloons here. That's awesome. It's a celebration.
Yay!
So there's a couple different parts to this motion, right? And the first part is we want to try to bring the chin down just a tiny bit. Almost like you want to give yourself a double chin. Okay.
That's easy.
And now the next part there is you give yourself the double chin and you want to lock that motion in place and you want to bring the entire head back.
Ooh, that feels good.
Yeah. And so if we do that, also about 10 to 15 times, same thing at the start of your workday and at the end, that'll do wonders on that forward head posture that we get that causes a lot of the neck pain from working at our desk for a long time, or even looking down at the phone.
Yeah. My chiropractor said to me that, you know, if you think about how heavy the head is, people don't realize how heavy the head is. And when you're like this, all the pressure's on your neck and shoulders to hold the head up when it's supposed to be up, you know.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I love this motion so much, this exercise, this chin tuck that I just mentioned, because it works on strengthening the muscles that hold the neck up.
Yes. And
so that's one of the things that I think is so important to stopping pain in the neck.
Oh, definitely. Mm-hmm. So arms, moving the arms.
Stretching out.
Stretching. Oh yeah, you can pull your arms back and raise your chest too, can't you?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then arms up and lean back.
And a nice chest opener.
My headset's coming off.
Uh-oh.
And then tuck. And pull your head back.
And back. Right. Exactly. That was a great demonstration you gave there.
I figure, hey, if we're going to tell people, make suggestions, that we have to be willing to do them too. I love those, though. Those are great for sitting. How about standing? Is there something you can do? Because my desk actually is a rising. So I stand and sit and alternate between those during the day. Is there something you can do when you're with standing to kind of help with the hips and the low back? My low back is, I'm sure a lot of people have a low back.
Like with low back complaints.
Yeah.
Ironically, kind of similar things in the low back, in terms of like that opening up here. Something that I found, if it's all right with you, I'll stand up and I'll try to give a demonstration best I can here.
Absolutely.
So what happens as we sit for a long time, we get a lot of tightness here in the front of the hips, right? And so what we want to do is do things that add some mobility to the front of the hips. And there's two things that I would recommend, right? And so if we're here and we're doing this with the chest, right, to open it up, kind of similar where we want to push forward, right? And that gives a bit of a stretch here in the front. Now the trick is that we don't want to arch the low back as much.
Oh.
And that's the trick, because sometimes that can add to some of the low back discomfort. So we want to try to keep the spine neutral and focus just on the hips and pushing it forward as best as we can.
Okay.
And we can hold that about 30 seconds. Another one that I like, that I think is a little bit more intuitive for a lot of people, or that they can feel a little bit better, and I'll lower the screen here, is if we come into a staggered stance. So I have one leg forward and one leg back. And same thing, we put the hands right on the hips here, and the goal is to move the hips forward. And same thing, and you'll feel it a lot more in that leg that's behind the body.
Yeah.
You hold that about 30 seconds.
That's a great one for that. And you feel it in the front instead of in the back. And that's where, if you think about how you sit, it's the front that needs to be, it's the front that needs to be stretched.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that I would think would contribute to helping with balance and things like that as well, wouldn't it?
It can, absolutely.
Yeah.
It can, because being in that stance, for example, does challenge the balance.
Yeah. I've seen kids in the classroom lose their balance from sitting all day on their computers and phones, and they, and it's like, really? You're not 80. Wow. You're 13. Why are you stumbling around?
That's not great.
No, it's not.
But it is interesting, because a lot of the research is showing that too. A big component of maintaining your balance is strength. And if people are sitting all day, the muscles are just slowly atrophying, right? Slowly decaying. And so if they're decaying, losing strength, and of course they're going to lose their balance.
That makes sense. And they go home from school and then they sit in front of the TV or they play video games, and they're just, yeah. Well, so a little active. Then moving up a little bit, do you ever recommend any kind of walking? I would think isn't walking the most natural thing we can do, because our bodies are designed to walk.
I believe that.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. Yeah. I recommend everyone to do at least 30 minutes of some type of activity, some type of physical activity every day, just for baseline health maintenance. And walking, I think, is probably one of the best and easiest things that we can do in those 30 minutes. So absolutely.
Does it have to be 30 minutes all at once, or can you do 3 sets of 10? For example, if you work in an office and you can't take a half an hour, you can just take short little walks, but is it cumulative?
So some of the newer research that I've at least read is showing that it can be cumulative. So it doesn't need to be all at once. You can do 5 minutes here or 5-minute increments throughout the day, or a block of 10, a block of 10, and a block of 10. And if you're getting that minimum of 30, then you're doing good. Yeah.
You're doing good. Yeah.
Then you're doing good.
That's, it's very refreshing, because this just feels so much more natural and organic, rather than forcing yourself to do things you don't like or that don't feel good to your body, but you do things in a more natural way that actually help, and you're benefiting yourself without feeling like you have to go to the gym for 2 hours. And, some people thrive in that environment. That's great. More power to you, but not everybody does. So that's really nice.
I agree. Not everyone enjoys it. And so that's one of the things about my job too, is not everyone enjoys a straightforward type of exercise. And so sometimes I have to get creative and find ways that instead of a straightforward exercise, we got to make it into some type of fun activity.
Oh, well, tell us a story. What's the weirdest thing you ever had to get creative about?
Oh man. I had a patient with back pain. And I thought that a great way in order to improve his back pain was to work on strengthening his glutes, pretty much all the muscles in his low back, of course, the muscles in the legs, the muscles in the glutes. And so he didn't particularly enjoy things like deadlifting or squatting. So instead, we had a bunch of weighted balls throughout. We placed a bunch of like really heavy weighted balls throughout, and just had him pick up and then like toss it on the other side. And so for him, he enjoyed that a lot more than staying in one place, picking up a weight and putting it right back down.
Oh, so you can be creative and enjoy it. And
you can.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this. What I like about you, Paul, is that it's like you do have that element of just lightening it up, and it can be fun. It doesn't have to be an ordeal.
It can be fun. And then people do it for the long term, and then they're healthy for a lot longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been a wonderful discussion. How can our audience find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me at on Instagram at Paul Sylvester PT. You can also find me on LinkedIn, as you see my link down below. My email is paulsylvesterpt@gmail.com. And you can also find my booking link down at the QR code down below. You can scan that. And I'm also giving away free initial consultations for those that book through this code.
Oh, yeah. Just mention the Chronically Healthy Life, that they saw you here. And
exactly.
And is that okay? Exactly. So you heard it, folks. Tell them I saw you on the show.
Right. So just mention that you saw me on the show, Chronically Healthy Life, and you'll get a free initial consultation.
Wonderful. Well, you know what? I'm going to keep you in my Rolodex, which is now a phone, for future reference with my mom. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking with you today.
Likewise. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for your time today.
Yes.
Thank you, Christy.
All right, everybody. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody. It's Christy with Kids Corner. Well, Mother's Day is upon us yet again, and what an important day it is. And it occurred to me that I think the most important Mother's Days are the ones where we spend it doing things that don't cost money, but impact, especially our children, their memories, the things that they love. Like, for example, going to a picnic in the park, or having a day on the lake, or anything like that, where it's more significant. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Of course, it's fun to go to Disneyland or something like that, but it's not the kind of thing that really creates the memories. becomes really overstimulating, especially if the kids are little. And so I just got to thinking that honoring Mother's Day, if it would be really nice if we all kind of shifted it into more of an honoring rather than an activity-based thing. Our society is so based on do. Maybe we could just be. So I personally am going to spend the day with my mom. We're going to just do a relaxing thing, maybe cook a meal, maybe watch a movie. Of course, you know, my mom is much older than you moms out there with young children. It's going to be pretty chill, but still, the important part is just being together and honoring the mom who brings life into the world. What a gift that is. So love your kids, love your husband, love yourself, love your mother, send love to everybody. Let's make Mother's Day less about doing and more about loving. All right. Ciao for now.
Hi, I'd like to personally invite you incredible women, to an event that's happening on May 17th in Hawaii, Women of the World Networking Event. This isn't just another networking event. It's a space for women, leaders, entrepreneurs, and professionals to connect, learn, and grow together. Whether you want to expand your business, step onto the stage as a speaker, or showcase your business and your brand, there's an opportunity for you if you're ready to take your connections to the next level. Join us on May 17th, and I'll see you there.
Why do 98% of beauty enthusiasts rave about coolness? It's all in the blend of ancient wisdom and modern science. Introducing Coolness Pearlescent Face and Eye Serum Cream. This powerhouse combines the antioxidative power of schisandra berries, the glow of pearl powder, and the hydrating wonders of dragon's blood extract. It's like a time machine for your skin, making it radiant, firm, and oh so smooth. Inspired by ancient Chinese traditions and backed by modern nutritional science, this serum cream is perfect for dry, mature, and aging skin. Say goodbye to dullness and hello to youthful radiance. And guess what? For a limited time, you get a free cooling eye cream applicator with your purchase. It's time to unlock your inner glow with coolness. So what are you waiting for? Treat your skin to the best of both worlds today.
Welcome back to Chronically Healthy Life. And, you know, I think it is inspiring, like how we said in the very beginning, how more and more businesses are coming to start their own business to help people more on a one-to-one basis, right?
Yeah, technology is always advancing, and there's new ways to actually bring your business remote, so you don't actually have to be there. So that would actually make your customer base a lot bigger, because now you can actually go international, go global. So
exactly. And like what Dr. Paul said is, like, when he was doing the traveling, almost PT caravan, right? A lot of people just weren't able to find the time or get into the spaces that are available for it. So, I'm really looking forward to his success. And for anyone that's looking to, do some stretching, loosen up, or just having problems in mobility, definitely hit him up.
For sure. Who do we have next week?
Next week, we have Cindy Miracle. I hope I pronounce her name right. I spoke with her, and she's going to be talking about the power of essential oils. Mm-hmm. And I know you use a lot of essential oils in your coolness products. Mm-hmm. So, she really is certified to talk about the healing of essential oils. So I'm really looking forward to what she's going to share with us on there.
Awesome. Essential oil is basically like the potions that the witches use.
Yes, exactly.
And they cure all sorts of different things. So, hey, hear out. I think it's going to be very interesting.
Exactly. So join us here every Friday at 7 p.m. CST on e360tv.com in the Vitality TV network, or you can catch us on YouTube at Chronically Healthy Life, or watch your reruns there. And remember to download our free ebook at Longevity is the New L Word for longevity tips and what we do at home, and it's been proven to be tried and true for the last 10 years.
And longevity, Andy, you can also get a 30-minute consultation.
Yes, longevityofandy.com. If you want a free 30-minute consult, hit us up on that, and we can start putting together a plan. If you want to work with me for 30 days or with my new 90-day program, I look forward to helping you achieve your best wellness and, of course, longevity in life.
And of course, you've seen the commercials. We are launching our first product, which is our face and eye serum cream. It's a mouthful, but it's basically one product that does multiple things. And it's something that we are really passionate about, and it is already available.
Yes. And where are we getting it at from?
Oh, coolness.com. So QOOLNESS.com.
We'll see you all next time. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hello, we are Mutts and Meows Rescue, a 501c3 nonprofit, foster-based, no-kill group. Mutts and Meows Rescue pulls dogs and cats from surrounding shelters in the greater Houston area. We even pick up dogs and cats abandoned on the streets. Mutts and Meows Rescue is foster-based and rely on your donations to keep rescuing. To know more about us is to know more about our furry friends and help them find their forever homes. Come visit us at Mutts and Meows Rescue on Facebook today and decide how you can make a difference.